out on the road a little bit. And, we've been touring a lot, doing a lot.
Now that's determination.
Debbie Harry, the seductive icon of the new wave era, once made the world melt with her lost gaze and a voice that roared like a collapsing city. But behind the bold red lipstick and glamorous Playboy covers lies a darkness never before revealed: manipulative relationships, drug-fueled sleepless nights, and a near-death rape in her own home. Who was truly behind Debbie Harry's rise and her fall? What drove a rising star to call herself a warning? Everything will be unveiled in this video, where the unseen dark side of this immortal icon finally comes to light. You see her looking radiant in that dress, don't you? But behind that dazzling appearance lies a story no one expects. Debbie Harry, born in post-war 1945 in Miami, never had the chance to call her birthplace home. Her biological mother, a young unmarried woman, quietly abandoned her in the hospital without a goodbye, without a photo, without a name or a trace of her identity. From an orphanage, little Debbie was adopted by Catherine and Richard Harry, a loving middle-class couple who raised her with care. Yet deep within her mind, a question burned quietly: who am I? Why did my mother leave me? That void sparked a rebellious fire, leading Debbie into the world of art, where she could redefine herself through music, lights, and freedom. But that journey was never a path paved with roses. Before becoming the punk icon of the 1970s, Debbie Harry hustled through countless jobs just to survive in a city that was both glamorous and perilous. From working as a legal secretary and office clerk to donning the ears of a Playboy bunny at the infamous Playboy Club, a so-called paradise of beauty and desire, it was there that her life took a dark and twisted turn. Beneath the dim lights, silk dresses, expensive wine, and powerful men was a hidden world of exploitation and manipulation. Debbie never spoke in detail about this chapter of her life, only leaving behind a chilling, steel-cold sentence: "I am alive. I am breathing. That is the luck in my life." From an abandoned child to a trapped bunny girl in a world ruled by predators, Debbie Harry rose up, beginning her transformation into the most beautiful nightmare Hollywood has ever seen. In the late 1960s, she entered the professional music scene as a backup vocalist for the folk rock band The Wind in the Willows. Though their debut album in 1968 under Capitol Records didn't make a splash, it was Debbie's first step into the world of music. By 1973, she joined the Stilettos, where she crossed paths with guitarist Chris Stein, the man who would become not only her creative partner, but also the great love of her life. Before the spotlight ever found her, pain came knocking first. In her memoir Face It, Debbie Harry revealed she had been raped at knife point during a bold break-in at the home she shared with Chris Stein, a mental scar that haunted her for life. But instead of breaking, she pressed on. In 1974, Debbie and Chris left the Stilettos to form Angel and the Snake, soon renaming it Blondie, a mocking nickname men used to catcall her on the street. But Debbie knew how to turn insults into crowns. And Blondie became her most powerful weapon. With her two-tone hair, her cool beauty like something out of a David Lynch dream, and a fashion sense that defied norms, Debbie Harry quickly became the untouchable muse of the underground. Blondie lit up the dark shrines of punk and new wave, Max's Kansas City and CBGB. Their 1976 debut album quietly slipped into the underground scene, finding unexpected success in Australia, reaching number 14. It wasn't until 1979, as the British market began to open up to punk, that the album entered the US Top 75, a quiet but meaningful sign. The real breakthrough came in 1978 with their third album, Parallel Lines. More than a punk record, it was a pop manifesto. When Heart of Glass hit the airwaves, Blondie transformed from a rebellious New York band into a global phenomenon. The track topped both US and UK charts, selling nearly 2 million copies, while also being labeled an artistic betrayal of punk's purity. In June 1979, Debbie appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone. No flashy headlines. No radiant smile. Just a cold, sexy, defiant stare straight into the lens. That look made millions ask, "Who is Blondie?" and many mistook Blondie for her name. So much so that the band launched of Blondie as a group campaign, because the glory belonged to more than just a head of platinum hair. The storm didn't stop. In September 1979, the album Eat to the Beat continued to dominate the charts, hitting number 1 in the UK, number 17 in the US, and earning platinum certification. Just a year later, Auto-American dropped, bringing a wave of global hits like Call Me, Atomic, The Tide is High, and most notably, Rapture, the first song with rap elements to top the US Billboard charts. No one expected that the gateway to hip-hop's mainstream debut would be opened by a punk band led by a white female singer. But it was Debbie and her partner Chris Stein, wandering the streets of New York, who befriended Fab Five Freddy, who then introduced them to Grandmaster Flash and the raw, rising hip-hop scene in the Bronx. Debbie Harry's influence didn't end with music. In 1980, she was invited to the factory by Andy Warhol, the eccentric genius of modern art. Warhol didn't just photograph her, he transformed her into living art. In his famous silkscreen series, with her deadly stare, hair like toxic smoke, and chaotic splashes of color, Debbie became a visual icon of pop art. She was the post-war Marilyn Monroe, a fragment of the American dream burned and reborn beneath the neon lights of New York City. Her friendship with Warhol lasted until his death. Debbie also became the first guest on MTV's 15 Minutes, casually opening with a line that left America speechless: sex, vegetables, brothers, and sisters. For Debbie Harry, there were no borders between art, the body, sexuality, and rebellion. She lived as if every final second of the universe was burning around her. "Andy taught me one thing," she once said. "Never get stuck in the past. Always embrace the new. No matter how old you are. No matter how many times the world turns its back on you." Debbie Harry, the woman who made the world turn its head with the light she sparked from her own darkness. Behind the glittering aura of a punk icon, beyond the heavy mascara and signature two-tone blonde hair, lies a life that moved like a roller coaster, full of love, addiction, and brushes with death. Her longest and most intense relationship was with Blondie's guitarist, Chris Stein. They weren't just partners on stage, they were lovers for years. But unlike a fairy tale music couple, their love was a whirlwind born of music and torn apart by drugs. Both struggled with addiction, both spent time in rehab, and both fought to escape the seductive white ghosts of the 70s and 80s. Though they parted ways in 1987, their bond endured, so much so that Debbie became the godmother of Stein's 2 daughters, a testament to a connection that transcended pain, labels, and time. Debbie Harry's personal life is full of shadowy corners that chill the soul, but she never shied away from the truth. In 2014, she openly shared that she had relationships with women in her youth, a revelation once deemed taboo, but one that only deepened her image as a fiercely independent, honest, and utterly free spirit. As of 2019, she continues to live amidst the vibrant energy of Chelsea, New York, occasionally retreating to her quiet haven in Middletown Township, New Jersey, where she shares her home with 4 loyal dogs. A life of rebellion, yet never one of regret. Debbie Harry, no husband, no biological children, but she has a chosen family, friends, guardians, and a cultural legacy the world continues to explore with fascination. She is more than just a punk icon. She embodies a generation of women who dare to live, to love, to make mistakes, and most importantly, to confront their past and move forward on their own 2 feet. Then came 1978, the pivotal year that changed everything with the release of Blondie's third album, Parallel Lines. It wasn't just a punk album, it was a bold new pop manifesto. When Heart of Glass hit the airwaves, Blondie transformed from a rebellious New York band into a global sensation. The song soared to #1 in both the US and UK, sold nearly 2 million copies, and was seen by some as an artistic betrayal of punk. In June 1979, Debbie appeared on the cover of Rolling Stone. No headline, no smile, just a cold, sexy, defiant stare straight into the camera that made millions ask, "Who is Blondie?" And many mistakenly believed Blondie was her name. The confusion grew so strong that the band launched a campaign, Blondie is a Group, reminding the world that the spotlight belonged to more than just a head of striking blonde hair. Yet the storm kept raging. In September 1979, Eat to the Beat hit the market hard, topping the UK charts, reaching number 17 in the US, and earning platinum certification, cementing Debbie Harry's place not just as a style icon, but as a cultural powerhouse. Just a year later, Auto-American was released, and Blondie scored a streak of global #1 hits like Call Me, Atomic, The Tide is High, and most notably, Rapture, the first song with rap elements to ever top the US Billboard chart. No one expected that it would be a punk band, fronted by a white female singer, that would open the mainstream doors for hip-hop. At the time, Debbie Harry and her boyfriend Chris Stein formed a friendship with street artist Fab Five Freddy, who later introduced them to Grandmaster Flash and the Raw, emerging hip-hop scene in the Bronx. But Debbie's influence wasn't confined to music. In 1980, she was invited to the Factory by Andy Warhol, the eccentric genius of modern art. There, she wasn't just a guest, she became part of the art itself. Debbie Harry was more than a punk icon, she was the pulse of a changing era. At the Factory, the sanctuary of contemporary art, Andy Warhol didn't just photograph Debbie Harry. He turned her into art. In his iconic silkscreen series, with her piercing gaze, hair swirling like toxic smoke, and a storm of chaotic colors, Debbie wasn't just a portrait, she became the living visual embodiment of pop art. She was the post-war Marilyn Monroe, the scorched remnant of the American dream, reborn under the neon glow of New York City. Her friendship with Warhol endured until the end of his life, a rare bond between two misfits who lived for art and thrived on tearing down boundaries. Debbie didn't just challenge music, she shattered every line between art, the body, sexuality, and social rebellion. When she appeared as the very first guest on MTV's 15 Minutes, she casually opened the show with a line that left America stunned: sex, vegetables, brothers, and sisters. A sentence that seemed nonsensical on the surface, yet captured the essence of Debbie Harry: unpredictable, provocative, and impossible to box in. For her, everything was a stage, from punk rock venues to pop art canvases, from her rebellious gaze to her quiet defiance. Debbie Harry didn't just live, she turned herself into a living manifesto of freedom, individuality, and unapologetic beauty. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to follow our next videos. Thank you.